Famcast Media, bitch.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, persons of all ages, welcome to the most exclusive group in the wrestling community. And now, your hosts, first, from Oahu, Puerto Rico, Macho Rodriguez, and his tag team partner from New Brunswick, Canada, God's gift, Tyler Taylor!
Famcast Media.
How are we doing today? We are here on a glorious August 21st, 2023, as we're watching the end of Monday Night Raw. I am waiting for my co-host, Tyler Taylor, Mr. God's Gift. We're waiting for him to jump on the stream here, but I wanted to get right into it to be able to watch the end of the show with you so we can get some real reactions. This looks pretty good, this match so far. Cody and Kevin and Sammy teaming up against the Judgment Day guys. It absolutely is a stellar six-man match, and usually these matches are kind of a schmoz. They don't seem very interesting. They're just a mess all thrown together, but I love the way this match is presented. I gotta say, honestly, if this Sami Zayn shirt that is that he's wearing is only for Quebec, they're missing out on some money. And the good guys pick up the W. I mean, that was pretty obvious. It just felt like that's the way the show was gonna go. No muss or fuss. It looks like either way. I mean, had they left the match the way it was, Finn and Damian would have won the match. But for some reason, they restarted the match, and it was Cody coming out to help the good guys, and then obviously the baby faces walk away with a win. And once again, the Judgment Day have shown that in six-man tag matches, they just cannot beat baby faces. We watch it typically here a lot. It looks like Kevin Owens might have hurt himself again at the end of this match, unless he's doing a really great job selling here. I think that whatever happened here at the end of the match, I'm trying to take a look and see if I get it. We got a stunner, and then we got a pin. 1, 2, 3. He gets up and immediately holds himself here. So I don't know what happened, but on his way up, he grabs himself pretty quickly. I'm wondering what happened, but it looks like he's not able to celebrate with Sammy and Cody, but it looks like it's not over here. It seems as though we're going to get Sami Zayn sending the crowd home happy with some more. Let's see here. Oh. Oh, nice. We got some nice Quebec French here at the end. Oh, there you go. Kevin's able to lift his arm and lift a title. So maybe it was just a little shock to his system. However it was, the match ends, good guys send the crowd home happy, and it seems as though we have a pretty solid show. I mean, I enjoyed what we saw here. I thought it was a really, really solid show, and I'm hoping they continue to move this along this way. Sorry about the delay. It seems like something's up with Tyler, but he will be here shortly. So I will not talk about Monday Night Raw right now. What I will do is I will talk about some other things. I saw earlier today that a friend of mine on TikTok, she posted a video stating that Jay White is the best free agent signing in all of professional wrestling this past year. And I got to tell you, I'm more of a fan of Chelsea Green's signing. And here we are. Mr. God's Gift has decided to join us. How are you, bud? Is everything okay? All the streaming and internet working well over there in Florida?
Yeah, it's working great. I was having a pretty good nap though until Sammy's music hit and woke me up.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, that's what happened. It seems like he fell asleep a little bit, but that's okay. We're able
I do
to
not actively know who won that match.
That's all right. We'll get to that then at the end of the show. Then let's get started.
One Crossroads pin. Is that what happened?
No, triple finish, and then pin. So, but it definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't Finn that took the loss. But yeah. So Monday Night Raw gets started in Quebec, and of course we get a recap to last week in the Judgment Day issues. We go over the same stuff as last week, nothing new, and they emphasize how Damien threw the briefcase under Finn's legs, and Cody was able to beat Finn Balor. I mean, and then he gets demolished by the entire Judgment Day, even though Sammy comes out. He gets demolished as well. Judgment Day goes home happy. Side note, from what I noticed last week, and I think we talked about it, I just want to reiterate, JD McDonough has it. Whatever it is, he's got it. I mean, whatever. Except for the fact that Cody Rhodes may have just started something really badly for him by calling him a Funko Pop. That might catch on, and I feel like that could be like, Billy praying type of bad heat.
Oh my god.
I mean, if the crowd starts chanting Funko Pop, I can't see creative being like, yeah, let's use this guy in the future. But anyway, since we're in Quebec, Sami Zayn comes out to open the show in a brand new t-shirt, but I think this is one of those WWE t-shirts that are special for this area, because no one else was wearing it except for Sammy. He is talking in French, all excited, and before he can speak English, boom, the Judgment Day comes out. And as they are surrounding the ring, about to attack, he says he's not alone. Kevin Owens comes out, and I mean, they just run through the Judgment Day. What did you think about the opening segment?
Well, it's just, they got to get their heat back after last week. So obviously it's just going to set up something for later in the show, as we heard. One side note, the crowd would not let Sammy talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare to see, kind of an ovation like that, even when someone comes home.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, he's obviously been one of the most popular guys in the company the last year or so.
Yeah, I actually posted a video about that on TikTok where I said I was talking about Hulk Hogan's 12-minute standing ovation on SmackDown. Do you remember that?
Maybe.
So after the third stint for Hulk Hogan, because he had come back earlier, and this was the third time he come back to Hulkamania. And he was on SmackDown, and the crowd just wouldn't let him talk. They gave him a 12-minute standing ovation. You can find a video on YouTube here.
I think I've seen it. I think I've seen it now.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of that, and that doesn't happen anymore. So it was really great. Yeah, and I love the fact that you pointed out that even though that someone's home, this doesn't happen either. Because that was the one comment that was posted on my thing, which is like, oh, he's only getting chanted like that because he's home, dude. Lots of wrestlers are home. That is special. What we saw tonight was special.
Yeah, Cody was just in Atlanta a few weeks ago. He didn't get that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see that there's a challenge made, and it will be the Judgment Day versus Kevin and Sammy in the main event later tonight. So, pretty good opening segment. I love how KO kind of comes out and immediately just runs through everybody as Sammy kind of is only able to handle one person at a time. I don't see any issues with the opening segment. Do you?
No, not really.
No. And then I mean, Raw gets kicked off with a banger right away. We have the tag match with Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle versus the New Day. I mean, what'd you think of this match? So, like when you saw it,
I thought it was a good match. I did think it was weird that the Viking Raiders interfered.
Well, I thought that was.
Killing.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting too. The match kind of ends with the Viking Raiders interfering, pulling Drew out off the apron. Kofi hits Trouble in Paradise on Matt Riddle and gets a W. I thought it was weird too, but what I thought was super interesting was last week during the Drew McIntyre match, we said that he just looks bigger than everybody else. He just looks larger than life, right? And that was really the focus this week to me because as the Viking Raiders are dominating 3 out of the 4 men, Drew McIntyre just comes in and just beats up everybody. And I was just like, wow, what a way to paint him as super strong. I thought that was pretty cool, pretty interesting. What'd you think of that?
I just kind of wonder what they have him slotted for, where that's headed.
Yeah, I agree. We go backstage to a segment where JD McDonough is being interviewed. He's accompanied by Finn Balor, which is pretty interesting. Thoughts?
I mean, they've made it no secret that they hang out, so like, it's not that big a deal, and then just gives an excuse for them to come and say, "Hey, look, we need you to talk about this."
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Rhea Ripley comes in, she interrupts the interview as Finn is about to go in on the interviewer because he feels like he's being set up. She says they need to discuss Judgment Day business, and Finn gives a little bit of a nod to JD McDonough as he accepts the nod and they walk away. I thought that was pretty interesting that they played it the way they did. I'm wondering how long it takes before JD either enters the group or they beat him down. Because there were reports that came out today that WWE has made a firm commitment to keeping all 4 members that are in the group. They want to keep them as long as possible. There are no plans for anyone being kicked out of the group.
Okay. The other thing could be that JD gets sick of not being cool enough to play with Finn's other friends and gets mad and attacks him.
Yeah. I mean that's pretty much what I see. We go to commercial, but as we come back, Gunther cuts a promo for his match for Chad Gable, which leads me to think that the match is later on tonight because we go right to a backstage segment between the Alpha Academy, and as Maxine Dupree, Otis, and Chad Gable are talking, his music hits, and the match is now. So both of the matches that were advertised for Monday Night Raw, are the first 2 matches in the first hour. What'd you think of the planning of that? I thought that was really interesting.
My thought was, what are we gonna do the rest of the night?
That's exactly what I thought to myself. But they did pack the show in pretty well, and they did a good job. This was a phenomenal Raw, guys. I don't want people to think that this match was shitty or that the show was shitty. So, right after we get that, I just want to state that Chad Gable is very much like Kurt Angle. When I watch him in the ring, when you hear him, he's kind of comical like Kurt too, which is really interesting. And based on what we said about JD McDonough last week, I would love for JD and Chad Gable to feud with each other because I'm wondering if it would be like Benoit Angle 2.0. Like, would they be able to give us those type of matches? What do you think before we continue?
That is, that's high expectations for anyone to reach. I do wonder if Chad maybe patterned himself after Kurt because you're right, he's phenomenal in the ring. They do have the Olympic thing in common, and he has embraced the comedy.
Yeah, I agree. I gotta be honest, I love the way Chad Gable takes bumps. He takes the sternum buckle bump just like Bret Hart. It's awesome.
Where else did I see that a couple weeks ago? I don't know if I saw it or if you said it or if I. Anyway, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
He's in the last 6 months has just become really come into his own as being one of the best guys in the company.
Yeah, I think a lot of respect needs to be paid to Bobby Roode. You know, he brought a lot of this charisma out of Chad, and it's been perfect. I mean, yeah, I think it was halted by Shorty G, but I'm glad that that's gone. Let's never mention that again. So yeah, this match itself, what did you think of Gunther versus Chad Gable itself? What did you think of the match? Did you like it? Because I have some thoughts on the match.
Yeah, I thought they tore it down, and I liked the finish because I was thinking after the promo that they had before the match that Chad should be the one to beat him for the title, but I knew it wasn't happening tonight.
Yes.
So
yeah, I agree with
you. They have the ambiguous finish where he wins by count out, which means he can claim, all right, well, I beat you. I deserve another shot.
Agreed. I love the technical ability of this match. I didn't notice that this was the style that Gunther actually likes to work. I loved like the catch can like move from one hold to another. I thought it was the way the match moved on. It was kind of like watching an old school like Owen versus Regal. It was really interesting. Just the way it was worked, I really enjoyed this match.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely peak. It's like peak Regal versus peak Angle.
Yeah, it's a very good match. Gunther loses the match, which is super interesting, by count out. But I think what we need to talk about is that bump. That was a vicious German suplex, and it looked super dangerous, but I think it's kind of what we talked about with Omega and Ospreay. That was the bump that ended the match.
Right.
Like
that's as it should, right? Like we talked about with the
Tiger Driver.
Tiger Driver 97, is it called?
Yeah, whatever year it is.
Whatever year it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I loved it.
If you're gonna do that, it should be the finish.
Absolutely. Obviously backstage we see that Gunther's not happy with Imperium. He looks pretty fired up and upset, and it looks like might this be the end of Imperium? I don't know. What did you think of that?
I don't know. It's the only thing. To me, it's one of the only things keeping him healed because it's just always somebody else's. It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah, I agree. We go backstage to a segment where Damian Priest continues to throw little digs at Finn Balor for being the loser of the group. You know, stating that he shouldn't be in the tag team because Damian is Senor Money in the Bank and Dom is the North American champ. And Finn immediately catches on to the gist that Damian is using, and Rhea stops it before Finn gets a chance to go on a tangent. Being the resident Finn Balor lifer, what did you think of Creative's decision to have Damian use that dig at that moment?
I'm just starting to like the guy less and less every week because he's just a jerk to my guy.
But that's why I stated creative. Are you saying that this is Damian's fault?
I think it's all Damian. He's just a jerk. No. I kid. I mean, they gotta obviously tease the problems, but it's like I would have liked to have seen Finn be able to retort, like, "Yeah, you won the briefcase, like, but you've never been champion. I've been champion."
Yeah,
and Dom's the NXT North American champion, but Finn's a two-time NXT champion.
Three-time.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, he can claim all that too.
Yeah, I suppose. I just think it was pretty interesting that Rhea interrupted before he gets a chance to retort. I got the gist right away, as I stated in my notes, that it was going to be Finn and Damian tagging, but that's not confirmed until later. We go to commercial once again. Commercials were really heavy in the first hour and a half. I thought, like, I
That's
felt
just
like
weird. Wasn't
what?
last week first hour commercial free or something?
Yeah, it felt like it. It was really interesting. Super heavy commercials.
Yeah.
This early. We come back from commercial break as Cody has a backstage segment, and he decides he's not happy with having a backstage segment, and he pulls Byron Saxton out to the crowd in Quebec. He speaks a little French to start. He drops a little dig, calling JD McDonough a, how did he say it, a big-headed Funko Pop. And yeah, the crowd, you look annoyed that Cody used that verbiage. Why?
Listen, I gotta stick up for big heads all around here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, no, I get it. I thought it was pretty interesting that that's the way that they're going, belittling JD McDonough, making fun of him. It's kind of very toothless aggression type of thing. I kind of dig it. It could work in his favor.
Yeah, sure.
Honestly,
Funko Pops are very popular.
They are very popular. Cody cuts a pretty generic promo. Nothing big. I didn't think there was anything of note, anything that was like, oh, yeah, this is great. Like, here's Cody's next feud. Nothing
Yeah, I
really.
just think it was to get him in front of the crowd. Because really neither him nor Seth did much on the show. We'll talk about Seth later.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we're going to talk about Seth.
We won't say he didn't contribute because damn.
Yeah, I agree. I actually have lots of notes on the Seth Rollins thing. So we go back to a vignette or a segment that was produced earlier on in the day, which is an interview with Shinsuke Nakamura. There is no interviewee. It is Shin talking directly to the camera, breaking the fourth wall, and he is speaking in Japanese with subtitles. And I grew up with Kung Fu movies with my dad, and some of these villains, like, I know it's different, Chinese and Japanese, please don't come for me. I'm just trying to use that. But the villains in these movies were ruthless, bro. Just ruthless. And I am so annoyed that it has taken this long for someone in WWE to just give this, because if you read that promo as he was cutting it, it was very good. Like, I'm like, dude, has he been able to cut promos like this whole time?
Yeah, who knew all that needed to happen was to turn him into an anime villain?
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. I mean, yeah, I'm the only anime I know about is One Punch Man. Sorry. Shout out to all my Saitama fans out there. But yeah, I got to be honest, this is the best version of Shin, and I think it's going to catch on. I think it's going to catch on strong, and I would not be surprised if he takes the title off Seth and Damian doesn't cash in. I don't know, but I said that before with Finn, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, Shin's a little more exciting than Finn Balor as a heel, but I'm sure we'll find out what's going to happen. It seems like nobody ever pushes the button on Shinsuke Nakamura. So
that's a fact.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, but wow. Brilliant villain. Very excited. I want more of this.
So good.
Yeah, I want more. I love it. We go from here right to Rhea Ripley's entrance as she comes to the ring to face Candice LeRae. And for the second week in a row, Tyler, Rhea Ripley has what is supposed to be a squash match and still lets the person she's working get enough offense in to look good. What do you think of Rhea being a pro's pro and not so much allowing, because I'm sure the match was produced, but just her selling as good as she did last week for Indy and this week for Candice? What did you think about the way that they have her do that, or the way she does that?
I think it's great because, I mean, they have to have credible challengers on this roster. It can't just be, I mean, right now Raquel's the only, and Becky.
Yeah.
Only two baby faces that are even remotely credible. Like, I know you're not the biggest Liv Morgan fan, but she'd probably be third at this point, but she's out.
Yeah, but she's a mid-carder. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but
I still think she still would seem to be a more credible challenger than Candice or Indy based on what we've seen so far. Obviously, we know what those two are capable of, and they can easily surpass her.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Liv if she's going to get a character change. She has cut her hair super short. I don't know if you've seen the photos lately, but her hair is like up here now.
Oh, bro, I've seen the photos.
Okay. Ultimately, Rhea picks up the win, and Raquel comes out to. I'm going to use this word, even though I don't really want to, but she dominates Rhea Ripley. Gets her out of the ring. Rhea looks beat up and hurt, and Raquel cuts the type of promo. I'm gonna use it again because we just used it with the Shinsuke Nakamura stuff. She gets to speak half Spanish, half English. Use the Eddie Guerrero tactic, the Alberto Del Rio tactic, Rey Mysterio, Chavo Guerrero. She gets to be her authentic self, and she comes off as authentic. She doesn't look generic, doesn't sound generic. It works. Are we finally getting that NXT Raquel that we've been asking for? Do you think that they planted that video this week for us to remember these two in a feud? What are your thoughts?
Maybe, but the first thing I noticed afterwards is she smiled again. Like, stop smiling.
Yeah, but sometimes villains smile and it works.
She's not a villain. She's mad. She hates that person.
I don't know. That could bring out a little bit of psycho in you. I mean, she's excited. She's getting a women's world title opportunity.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I thought it was a good segment. I liked it. I really enjoyed the fact that we're getting all different versions of these promos, and they just feel the promos feel more alive than ever. Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, typically promos are one of those things I'll walk away, grab a beer for, or go to the bathroom. Like, oh, okay, I'll hear the promo, like, because I'll use everybody's sleeping, so I just keep the bathroom door open. But I'm glued to my seat because I'm excited for these promos recently.
Right, because here's one thing. I'm sure you're a Spanish speaker. I'm sure you sometimes mix your languages, and
yeah, I don't have a choice. Yeah.
You do, like with Shin and with Raquel and with the Sammy and Kevin. It's authentic.
Yes, we had.
It feels more real.
Yes, we had Sammy and Kevin speaking French. We had Raquel speaking Mexican or Chicana version of Mexican. We had Shinsuke Nakamura speaking Japanese. We had Cody Rhodes speak one sentence of French.
I understood what he said.
Oh, okay. That's cool. We had Trish Stratus speaking French, although I was reading on Twitter that what the crowd was saying was we don't care. So I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I couldn't make out what they were saying. But
yeah, I mean, so
could be.
We go right from here to a video package of The Miz costing LA Knight his match against Austin Theory last week. Wow, how Austin Theory has fallen. And The Miz comes out and he cuts a promo. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. I feel like you've kind of burst my bubble. Like, I feel like you ruined my Christmas morning pointing out that The Miz's promo is the same promo over and over. It sucks because I've always thought this about MJF, but I was like, I'm just going to ignore it. But now that you pointed it out about The Miz, every time he dropped certain words, I was like, yep, it's the same promo. Like, there's nothing new. That sucks.
Yeah,
he's so much more talented.
I actually thought this was good, though. I was not looking forward to this segment. Like, this is when I started to doze, honestly. And like, he woke me up, and then as I said to you on the I think honestly all three of these guys, LA Knight, Miz, and Tozawa, are all guys who just maximize their minutes.
Yeah, I don't think LA Knight falls in that category anymore, but
maybe not anymore because he's starting to get pushed, but I think
I think he really showed a lot of range while he was doing commentary. He was very funny. Calling the referee Eddie Munster. I mean, that's hilarious. And then Michael Cole decided to call him that at the end of the match too, and I was like, there we go. Like, now it catches on. But The Miz says he's going to wrestle somebody that's bigger, stronger, faster than LA Knight has ever faced, pretty much bashing every guy that LA Knight's ever been in the ring with. And Akira Tozawa comes out. And as Tyler sent me a voice message almost like immediately. I'm looking forward to Tozawa getting the win here. We all knew that's what was going to happen because before the match can even get started, we hear LA Knight and the music hits. He comes down to the ring, rocking his Timbs. Boy, man, I'm surprised he's from Maryland because he definitely dresses like a New Yorker. But yeah, he sits in commentary. He cuts a great promo. Like on commentary, he just kind of goes over it. I thought it was interesting. This ending was a little weird. I've never seen something like this. The Miz loses the match. He distracted himself.
Yeah,
like LA Knight never got up from his seat. He never said anything, never pointed. Miz was so distracted with LA Knight even being out there, he cost himself the match. What did you think of that story?
I mean, it's a little weird. It's helpful. It's great for Tozawa. It makes him look a little better even, but like it's a little weird. Like I can't think of anyone aside from maybe like an ex-girlfriend or something that might distract you enough to like distract yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
Like someone you're not expecting and you're really just like shakes you up.
Yeah.
But all dude was doing was sitting there, and I mean, why would you not expect him at this point? It's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
but I thought everyone involved did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. The Miz loses as he's complaining to the referee. LA Knight, jumps into the ring, gives him blunt force trauma, and he throws Miz some tissues so he can cry about it. Yeah.
It's a great name for a finisher, by the way.
Oh, you like it? Okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, I got no disagreements. I don't feel one way or another, but yeah.
So we sort of glossed over the Trish and Becky segment?
No, that's happening next.
Okay, because we talked about it for a minute there.
Yes, but that's happening next. We have one more segment before we get there. Don't jump ahead, fucker. Listen,
I thought you already skipped it.
No, I pay attention. I got this. We go backstage to a Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle segment. And as Drew McIntyre is saying that, no, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work out, the New Day interrupts and says, listen, guys, you need to slow it down. We think you guys have something special here going. And then they tell them they came up with a tag team name. And listen, WWE, you need to make this t-shirt. Because I want to purchase 2 t-shirts. I want a lemon t-shirt and I want a McGriddle t-shirt because I love McGriddles. They are my favorite breakfast sandwich. So I want this t-shirt. I would absolutely love it. There's a guy on TikTok who draws things like people like 50 Cent, right? Like the rapper, he draws 50 Cent as like a $50 coin. Eminem, he drew him as an Eminem. I would love it if he figured out a way to draw Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre as a McGriddle. That would be amazing. Yeah, I love the tag team name. I love it. I think it's I feel like there's a heel turn coming. What do you think?
Maybe. I know Drew has said he doesn't really want to do it. And he has so much equity built up with Make-A-Wish and all this and that he really doesn't want to do it unless it's really.
Oh, so is that what he meant? I didn't understand. I thought it was just for story purposes. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, that makes more sense. I didn't understand. So him and Bianca have the same issue right now with.
Right, it's the same with him and Bianca and Cena, and I get it. I really do.
Yeah.
I respect
but Bianca is John Cena. She is that version, so she can get away with that. Drew's not. I love Drew McIntyre, but he can't use that excuse. He's got to do what he's told to do, man.
At the risk of being canceled, can we please have the conversation after the review?
Sure, you're going to have to bring it up because I'm not quite sure I remember what you're talking about. All right, so... yes, you're gonna have to remind me. There is, just remind me. Okay, I'm in raw mode right now. Okay,
sure.
So
let's go again.
Yeah. So with respect to Sheamus, we love Sheamus. Do we not? We love Sheamus, right?
We love Sheamus.
Yes. We come back from commercial as the greatest Irish superstar of all time makes her way to the ring. And she is about to cut a promo.
Whoa.
What's up?
I see what you did there.
No, I said with respect to Sheamus. What the hell?
You did say it with respect to Sheamus.
Yeah. But she's the best.
You aren't giving anybody else any respect.
I mean, those are the only two Irish superstars to ever main event WrestleMania. So, yeah, I would say for a world title match, too. Yeah, against Triple H, didn't he?
No, not at all. That was
didn't he wrestle Triple H and Randy Orton in the main event?
Sheamus?
Yeah, Sheamus, Randy Orton, and Triple H.
Of WrestleMania?
Yeah, I thought they did.
No.
Oh. Well, either way, he's been a 4-time WWE champion, a 2-time or a 1-time World Heavyweight champion. He's held the United States title a couple of times. He's won the Royal Rumble. He's a King of the Ring. He's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll retire and be in the Hall of Fame that year. I don't think anybody has done that. I mean, his King Sheamus character is more lethal than the Demon. But we will continue on with Becky Lynch here. So Becky comes to the ring.
Becky Lynch.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So we come to the ring and she cuts a promo, and I just realized once again that Becky Lynch is just the best promo in the game. Man or woman, I feel like everybody's trying to they can't reach her. Like she touches the microphone and it's just like, I don't know, it's angelic. It's biblical. It's like reading Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's like listening to an Edgar Allan Poe poem. Like when she cuts a promo, it is absolutely the best promo of the past couple of months. No one in WWE has touched her on the microphone, and she's been kept off TV. That's insane to me. It's insane. She's interrupted by. What?
Tonight, I don't even think she cut the best promo of her own household, but
yeah, but Finn Balor cuts this promo. It's the best promo of his entire career, so it's like awesome. So Trish Stratus comes out and she interrupts and she seems a little scared. They talk about it before Becky tells her that she'll get Trish Stratus at Payback in 2 weeks in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right here. But before then, she's going to face Zoe Stark next week on Monday Night Raw in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I expect Becky to put over Zoe in that, but we'll talk about that next week. What did you think of this segment between Becky, Trish, and Zoe?
Yeah, so I saw a lot of hate for it on Twitter, and I didn't
specifically Trish. It was Trish that caught all the hate, which is weird.
I actually really liked what she said, where she was like, "Am I scared? Sure, I'm scared, but I was scared when I did this, and I was scared when I did, but you could argue, as you have for some other people, that it was sort of a babyface promo.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different because she's home. Like, she's at home. Like,
yeah, but she certainly wasn't the babyface.
No, she definitely wasn't. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if they're hoping that Trish kind of puts her over in that cage match and then Trish kind of walks away, and they want people to cheer her after that. We'll see. We go backstage to what I was saying before you came on air, to the hottest free agent signing of the past 3 years, Chelsea Green. Definitely the best free agent signing in the past year in all of professional wrestling. I mean, you can say that there might be people that are close to it, but no, it's definitely Chelsea. And no one else has been able to do what she's done, put herself over the way she's done. Would you say that she's been able to get herself over in a way that they didn't allow her husband to? Because all reports indicated that the Chelsea's Got Talent, that they all loved it backstage. But for some reason, when her husband did it, they decided to put him in a wheelchair and have him watch his girlfriend kiss John Cena on screen.
Well, I think that you can just 3 initials will account for that, and they are VKM.
You think Vince McMahon didn't like that Zack Ryder got himself over?
Right.
So you think Triple H is more open to stuff like that?
Yes, I do, because Vince didn't like when anyone got themselves over. It was either we get you over and we push, you're our creation, or you're not being pushed.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that. I don't know. To me, it just kind of felt like I don't know. I guess it kind of felt like one of those things where she just came up with something, tried to go into business for herself, and decided, I don't want to drop these titles. We work so hard. They don't have an idea for them, which is why I think she did it. I don't know. I could just be like, I could be falling into the trap of a mark, and they could have planned this whole thing out immediately after the injury, but that's not a lot of time. And they haven't shown a lot of genius back there. But yeah, she comes up with this thing and they love it. And all reports says that what you stated, that they are actual people that fought that this Chelsea's Got Talent should have gone on longer. So you agreed with some of the reports.
Man, I think it would have been really entertaining. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Piper Niven. I'm excited because it feels like a real Karen and shutdown person. Like, whenever there's a Karen that's like complaining at you anywhere, or you see on a video, there's always that one person that shuts that shit down real quick, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what it feels like Piper is. Like, she's like the person that's like, hey, I told you, that's enough. Let's go. And I love that. I think they're a perfect meld together.
Yes, they are a great fit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to say this as quickly as possible because I'm just going to wind up sounding like a repetitive asshole. Once again, we have a Smackdown recap where we talk about Grayson Waller versus Rey Mysterio, and then we find out that the Bloodline is coming back on Friday. God forbid they would keep them away for a couple of weeks. The Bloodline will be back. We'll be getting Jimmy Uso in the ring, cutting up some promo. WWE is just going to dry up the well with the Bloodline, and I don't even think they realize what they're doing. You have anything to say about the SmackDown clips?
I think I must have been sleeping.
Okay, yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
That it was just very unmemorable.
Yeah. We come back from commercial break and we get a pretty nice video package of Piper Niven and them kind of showing her as like this destroyer. Every time she hits her finish, they kind of like have CGI under the wrestler where it looks like cement or brick is just obliterated. I mean, it looked really good. We come back and we have a squash match with women's tag team champions versus Kaden and Katana, but not before they allow Kaden and Katana to once again pull out a mind-boggling acrobatic move. Did you actually see that spot? Or did you miss it?
No, I saw that.
I mean, just so what these two together, I feel like they're going to put the straps on them. I can't imagine anybody else taking these titles off these two. But not before Chelsea holds on to it for a long time. I think they're tired of
they're going to have to build them back up a bit because...
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm definitely excited. I love it. Piper celebrates after she hits her finish. She has a very interesting pin. I did send you a video on, but I'm a message on, but I'm not going to talk about it on here. And then she raises both titles.
So did all of my roommates.
Oh, nice. I'm so glad that they know me. And Piper she fireman's carries Chelsea as Chelsea's kind of like, distraught because she was beat up a little bit. I love it. I just love the two of these women together. I think it's great for both of them. Yeah, now, the Oscar goes to, envelope please, Colby Lopez playing Seth freaking Rollins, because we have a backstage segment as Seth Rollins cuts a promo, but before he cuts his promo, he has the crowd in Quebec sing his beautiful, glorious, phenomenal, stupendous song, Oh. And immediately Seth is asked about the injury that Shinsuke Nakamura had whispered in his ear, and he just goes on this. He takes his glasses off. He gets real. He connects with the audience, and you can hear a pin drop. And Tyler, as I put on here, it was a magical promo. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's the best promo he's cut in a while. Probably this year, honestly. His matches have been great, but he hasn't really talked that much, and when he hasn't said anything all that monumental. But tonight he really did just let it all fly.
Yeah.
I did think it was a little ironic that he was the one complaining about bringing someone's family and kids into it when he's the one who says everything should be fair game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. But then again, when he did that for Matt Riddle, I don't think they liked each other. So,
I think they settled things before then. But he has also said that he believes everything is fair game in a promo.
Mm-hmm. I would just like to point this.
So long as you give a heads up.
Yes, I would like to point this out to wrestling fans and any wrestlers that might happen to scroll on YouTube late at night and see our video. This is the way you sell an injury without having to limp, without having to ache. The way he was able to sell this backstage, it made me think that he might actually be forced into retirement. Like, I know that none of this is true. It's all work. But for the sake of this story, I bought into all of it. And I got to be honest with you, with the new version of Shinsuke Nakamura and this version of Seth Rollins giving us a little bit more, adding a little more to his character, I can't wait for this matchup, man. Are you excited about this?
I definitely am. You know what it is babyfaces so very rarely show any vulnerability.
Yeah.
So for him to do that, I don't think it's entirely a work, because I can remember back to right before Mania, rumors of him when he beat Brock, rumors of him having back problems.
Yeah.
And maybe they weren't going to give him the strap because he had back problems, and he certainly hasn't taken any time off since then.
No, he hasn't.
So there may be something to it. I don't know if he really has, stress fractures on his. If he had stress fractures on his spine or whatever it was he said, they wouldn't let him work. But
yeah, I mean, I definitely understood what he was saying. I loved it. I thought it was a really good. I thought it was a good way to sell the match without having either of them in the building tonight, which I thought was super interesting. Because I think those were both pre-recorded segments. I think we were supposed to think they were live, but they were both pre-recorded, and they came off like magic. I love them. From there, from there we go to a backstage segment with the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley telling him, did they make a decision yet? Damian blaming Finn for everything because it is his fault, that little prick. And then she decides that she's just going to take matters into her own hands. And we go to the ring as Kevin and Sammy make their way to the ring. And as the Judgment Day comes out, as we stated earlier, Rhea is yelling at Finn and Damian like they're children and forcing them to go work together in the ring.
It's a shame.
I got no complaints.
He's just not used to success, so it's going to his head, and he's being a real dick about it. But
yeah, I mean, that's what happens. I mean, it sucks, though. It's like, there's nothing you could do about it. When you have one anchor just weighing you down and you're trying to be successful and bring a title to the group, and this little guy just keeps, losing, there's nothing really you could do about it. But we go to the ring, and I want to point out something. Kevin Owens has missed the past couple of weeks with injury, right? That's what it's been, that they've been protecting him. Now, he could have gone if they needed him last week. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, that's what was said, that if they had to defend the titles, he could have worked, but because they didn't need them to.
Okay. Well, he worked today like he had never been injured. He did a rolling plancha to the outside, followed by a swanton bomb immediately. He worked like regular Kevin Owens without missing a beat. I don't think he understands what slow down means. I enjoyed this match. I thought it was great. I love how this time, yes, it was the briefcase that actually gave Finn Balor a win because he won the match.
That's what I'm saying. Why is Damian mad? They won.
But JD McDonough is the one who actually grabbed the briefcase and he threw it into the ring. Kevin Owens, who played Darrell Revis at this moment, and he decided to snatch that shit out of the air and just whack Finn Balor as they lose the match. As the Judgment Day are beating down Kevin and Sammy, here comes the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and then his aura must have been in the building because, as Teddy Long says, tonight we're going to have a we're going to have a 6-man tag with The Undertaker. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, nobody had to take on The Undertaker or Randy Orton, so.
Yeah. So we're led into a 6-man tag, which it was not what I expected. I always expect 6-man tags to be like a clusterfuck. You know what I mean? To be like one of these really shitty thrown together matches, but the 6 of these guys are pros. I mean, I would even classify Dom as a pro at this point. And all of them look great together. The match's finish was great. It was a haluva kick on Dom, followed by a stunner, which immediately tells you that Damian doesn't take any pinfall losses anymore. It takes 2 to 3 finishers to knock down Dom, and all it takes is one measly crossroads to beat Finn Balor. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of these strange. I really don't understand what the story being told to us, other than to make us think that Finn Balor's the weak link, because that's what I feel like the story is trying to tell us. What do you think? Do you like that? If that's what you believe,
it's hard to argue. I look, honestly, just like that he's in a top spot on TV.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Of course, these guys would have a good match because, like, some combination of these 6, throw in Seth here or there, have been working each other since Mania, basically.
Yeah, agreed.
So, like, the chemistry should be there at this point.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, obviously, Cody and Dom have their phenomenal match at the pay-per-view. I don't know if Cody and Damian have wrestled yet, just one-on-one. Kevin and Sammy have wrestled the Judgment Day. I feel like over the past 2 months, they've wrestled them a lot. That's been like the go-to match on Raw recently. But I'm not going to
actually are working on house shows, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, that works out pretty well. I wonder what it feels like for Damian to have to take his finisher, because that was his finisher too. So I wonder if they'll do spear like Roman Edge.
I wonder how many it takes for him to beat him.
I'm sure it's a house show. I'm sure it's one. One and done. Unless they're presenting him as strong. I don't know. I guess we could look it up. But yeah, guys, that was the Raw review. It was a lot faster than last week. There wasn't a lot of stuff, a lot of wrestling this week. Obviously, last week there was out of 3 hours, there was 51 minutes of wrestling. I don't quite know. I don't have the statistics yet for this week, but the matches themselves were great. I thought Gunther and Chad Gable was definitely the match of the night, and they definitely went like 27 minutes with entrances and, fluff here and there for the match. They definitely had 27 minutes. Yeah, well, they had a segment at the end. They had the promo beginning. So it felt like they were like 27, 30 minutes. The tag match with the New Day and Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre. What a great way to get the show started.
Yeah, it was shorter than I expected, but it was good.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely liked it. So that's been our review, guys. And now what do you want to talk about with Bianca?
So the guy on TikTok, what's his name, Santi?
Yes, Santi. Oh, that's right. Okay. So you want to talk about
I
what
just want
to
because from time to time I want to clarify this, because from time to time we've expressed displeasure with Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I want to point out, it's not Bianca Belair, the human being. It's the indestructible character that she's played for the last year, the same as,
yes.
At least in my case, I didn't like John Cena when he was like that. I didn't like Brock Lesnar when he was like that. I just don't like it being a foregone conclusion that someone's going to come in and dominate and there being no drama in their matches. So it has nothing to do with her on a personal level. It's the way she's portrayed on television.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely not been portrayed that as of late, but yes.
As of late, no, they're doing a great job of adding some layers to her character.
Yes, to put this into context, there is a great YouTuber / TikToker / Twitch. He's pretty famous now. His name's Santi. He does watch-alongs. He's a big wrestling fan, and I guess during the segment last week, Damage Control beat down Bianca Belair, and he was cheering during the segment. And I guess he's caught some flack for it. And other TikTok creators have pointed this out, that he's in some hot water right now. People did not take it, that it was a wrestling fan cheering for the bad guy in this case. They took it the same way it's always taken anytime someone has anything negative to say about Bianca. I want to make this clear. There are lots of people that have made really negative, racist comments about Bianca. But it seems that the very few people that have an issue with the character of Bianca are still treated like the shitty ones. So, I mean, personally, I think she's possibly the best talent in wrestling today, but I agree with Tyler. I wasn't a fan of Super Cena when it was happening. I don't want to see Super Cena happen for the other sex either. Like, I don't want to see a woman be Super Cena. I want to see Bianca be Bianca. Like, I loved Bianca in NXT. I liked her with her call-up. I liked that she lost to Becky Lynch in 26 seconds and had to fight her way back. I don't want her to win every single match that she's been in for 400-plus days. Like, this streak thing is wearing thin. And it's not Bianca's fault. It's Roman's fault. It's Gunther's fault. Like, it's just, I've had enough.
Right, and I believe that may be part of why they booked her so strong for so long, because of the Becky Lynch thing.
Yes, they caught a lot of heat for that. Absolutely,
deservedly.
No, Becky was very clear. It made people want her to win the title back, so it worked. It did everything it was designed to do. Becky was coming back as a heel, and it worked. I don't agree with that.
Well,
I think Becky's right. Yeah.
But then this is what it got us. So they overcorrected.
I suppose. I don't know if they overcorrected or if there was plans all along, because the Usos held the titles they broke New Day's record. They held the titles forever. Roman Reigns is still champion. He's breaking Bruno Sammartino's record.
You keep saying
Gunther is breaking. It's going to happen, Tyler. It's going to happen. Just get used to it. Just remember, death, taxes, and Roman breaking Bruno Sammartino's wrestling record. It's going to happen. And then Bianca's title reign. I think fans are just tired of it. There are even fans that are starting to turn on MJF right now because he's going to hold the title for like a year. And I will agree with the fact that fans are angry that he's already going to break Kenny Omega's record. And the company's only been around for 4.5 years. Why set a record to break it if you've only been around for 4 years? It's very strange to acknowledge a record, to say that someone has set a record, to call them the all-time, and then have the record be broken 2 champions later. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
So one more quick thing on Bianca, and then I'll address that. I think she's a wonderful human being and a wonderful role model and a great performer. I just didn't like that character.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, we've said some things on the show that could be construed as negative about her, but it's not about Bianca Belair, the person. It's about a poorly booked character that she had the unfortunate duty to play. So now getting on to the MJF thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear you say that because you are the one who constantly is upset when titles are quote unquote hot potato.
Oh, I still agree. I'm just saying that that's the talk of the internet wrestling community. People are angry. People love Kenny.
And I don't know that he gets Kenny's record because you don't think he loses it to Adam Cole at one of these 2 pay-per-views coming out?
No. I think he beats Cole in both.
I don't think so. That doesn't make any sense.
Why?
Because if Cole is going to betray him, he's going to have to come out with the title.
I hope, but I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I feel like we've been really wrong with AEW lately, so I'm very excited for Sunday to find out what happens, but, we'll see.
Yeah.
But, so touching on this, the reason that I said that about Chelsea Green being the hottest and best free agent in the company is because some idiot said Jay White was, and I was like, they're not even doing anything with Jay White. How could he possibly be the hottest free agent signing? He hasn't even touched anything Chelsea's done. Why is it that anytime a woman gets a title for anything, not a title like a championship, but anytime she gets praised with anything, some idiot has to come out of nowhere and be like, no, but this guy does it better. Well, you're fucking wrong. He's not doing it better. Everything she's done, he would cream his pants to have the opportunity to do. He's stuck in a tag match with Brian Pillman Light. I don't want to hear this shit. He works for the second tier indie company that gets to be on television. She gets to work for Disney. She gets to work for the top company in the world. She's working for the New York Yankees. She's not working for the fucking Staten Island Thunder. That's what he's working for. People need to respect women. I'm tired of this. And this is how angry I'm going to be every single time somebody bashes a woman on the internet now.
So it's not fair game to criticize them at all.
What are you criticizing? What the fuck has Chelsea done that
no, in this case,
we're talking specifically about Chelsea and Jay White. That's all we're talking about. So if you want to change the subject, wait till this is done and then change the subject.
In this case, I'm not criticizing anything, but you were very complimentary of Juice Robinson just 2 or 3 days ago, and now he's Brian Pillman Light.
Yeah, because I'm annoyed with the fact that fans feel the need to compare the two. I just said this in a TikTok video when I talked about women wrestlers, and I was talking about how Ronda Rousey is so-and-so and Shayna Baszler is never going to be anything because she's essentially a bottom-tier mid-carder, and how I look at women the same way I look as men. There's enhancement talent, there's a mid-card, and there's a main event. That's how I look at the women in wrestling. AEW hasn't been able to differentiate their women yet. All of them lose to each other. Nobody wins. And then when one person goes on a streak, everybody's mad about it. So it's like they just want everyone to have losses. And it's hard to talk about their women because people get just really angry and they feel like you're berating the whole entire company. Their fans are super childish. So I just feel like Chelsea deserves her flowers. She's the hottest. I think when PWI comes out, she's going to be the hottest free agent signing. She's going to be like the comeback wrestler of the year. She's going to get all of their awards from PWI, and Jay White's not going to get none of that shit because his signing has been underwhelming. Not a single soul would have ever predicted Triple H to bring this man in and put him in a tag team with a guy who needed to quit NXT because he couldn't get himself over in NXT to go to Japan, only to lose the title on his first title defense to a WWE guy.
So which is it? Is he good or is he not good?
I think he's good for what he's doing. I think he's good for Jay White, but that doesn't mean that this is a successful team. They needed to bring a group from Japan over to the States, and they needed to do NWO Gold. Just label it Bullet Club Gold. Jay White and Juice Robinson as the Bullet Club Gold are Jeff Jarrett and Bret Hart in the NWO. It's not even the best version. It's not even the worst version of the Bullet Club. It's like the Blue World Order trying to be the New World Order.
Okay, well, I think they've had 2 of the better matches that we've seen in the last 6 months, but
sure, I'm not talking about the quality of match. I'm talking about the story, altogether story. I'm not saying anything about their in-ring ability. I'm talking about.
If that's the case, then you'd be right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Switchblade. I think he's great. I just don't think he's had as much of an impact as Chelsea has.
I don't know that I'd say that she's had that much of an impact.
How would you not?
One half of the women's tag team champions, but when was the last time we took those titles seriously?
Now. We're taking them seriously now, ever since her and Sonya got them. When Ronda got them, yeah. That's when people started taking them seriously.
Okay. I guess I don't see much.
She came in as an enhancement talent. She came in as like, all right, we're going to bring her in. She's going to job the people. She's going to use a Karen gimmick because everybody loves to watch a Karen lose. That's exactly what she was brought in. She didn't win a match for like her entire first month. And then all of a sudden, people realized she's made Karen's cool. So they gave her a win. She uses the unprettier or whatever she calls it. And it works out really well. It looks phenomenal. She looks phenomenal. She salvages Sonya Deville's career that was pretty much floundering. She is the star. And I think a lot of fans are bitter because they weren't supposed to have Britt Baker. They weren't supposed to have Giant Gonzalez in that form in their women's division. Chelsea Green was supposed to be in that spot. That was supposed to be her, but she broke her wrist. And yeah, I'd be bitter too. If I wanted and if I looked at Impact and I saw what Chelsea Green did on Impact and saw the ability, the range, the character, all of this wonderfulness that this woman brings to professional wrestling, and I got Bastion Booger or the Yeti instead. Like that's what AEW got, and it's unfortunate. It's sad.
I don't see why there's a need to. So if someone said something like that about any of the women that you support, you would go absolutely ballistic.
No, I'm being truthful.
But you
and
feel
honest.
like it's okay to say that about her.
I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, as a girl dad, that Britt Baker's in-ring performances outside of her match with Thunder Rosa are doing more harm to women's wrestling than they're doing good. She is the epitome of someone who thinks they're very good at their job and they're not. She is what I would say. I don't want to drop a real name on here, but this is I'm going to give you the perfect example. I used to work at this butcher shop, right, in Harrisburg. And there was this guy who came from another company. He told us he was a butcher. He was very good. He had all of these things he praised himself for. He told us to go talk to his bosses at his previous company. It was very cool. Said, I've been doing this for years, very much like she has. I learned from so-and-so. I learned from so-and-so. His second day, Tyler, his second day cutting pork, he whips his index finger off on the bandsaw.
How?
Yeah, his second day. Because he didn't know as much as he did. Because he thought he was really good because he was able to pack out one pre-pack meat case and not realizing that we worked in open air. So we had to cut all day long from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., cutting all day. He didn't realize the speed in which we were doing it. He didn't realize the efficiency. He didn't realize how neat we were. He didn't understand that. So it's not that he lied. It's that he talked himself up and he wasn't very good. That's what I see when I see Britt Baker. I see her arguing on the internet with these fans that are just asking her to spend more time in the ring. There have been other wrestlers from the past that have said she can use polishing in the ring, maybe doing what Sasha Banks does or Mercedes Moné, hey, it's Wednesday. I don't got nothing to do. Let me call Amazing Red and let me go roll around in the ring. Why can't she do the same thing? She has some of the best wrestlers to ever live in the company she works for, and she can't take some time to roll around in the ring?
Yeah, but it's not Mark on Twitter's place to suggest that.
No, I said other wrestlers have said this to her too. Whenever a wrestler of any era says this to her, she says it's the old era bashing the new era. If it's a fan doing it, she says it's a Mark that doesn't know his ass from his elbow. She's got an excuse for every single type. And, it doesn't matter what's said to her. But how can she look at her wrestling matches? How can she not see the way she's just fallen off and she's being used for name value only in this 4-way next week? Because of the way she built her name up with this feud with Thunder Rosa. And I got to be honest with you, that show, even though it was supposed to depict her as a super likable, the next future star of women's wrestling, it painted her out to be Kate Goslin from John and Kate Plus 8.
You're going to have to explain.
The original Karen.
I get it, but why do you say that?
Because her best friend on the show, as she called him, told her to let this thing go. Then she went on to force this woman who was injured with a back injury, who had a doctor's note who told her not to fly. She made everyone in the locker room, she manipulated the entire locker room to make them believe that if I don't care, if I was representing this company as a champion, I would be here, even though the doctor told her she couldn't fly. So how the hell is she supposed to get there? If you can't fly, do you really think it's better for your back to drive 9 hours? Then she came in, apologized. I mean, did you not watch the same episodes I did?
No, I only watched the first couple episodes.
And you thought she came off as likable in those episodes? We both came out of there thinking that Tay and Sammy were like beautiful people.
I don't think she came off as badly as you make it out, because we've had the conversation that you've had people that, regardless of people telling you to let it go, that you still have had issues with and would have those feelings about. So it's just like anyone else.
Yeah, but I've grown up.
She had one person that she didn't like.
Yeah, but without that person, she doesn't get match of the year. Right?
Right.
Like, how do you...
There must have been a reason. There must be a reason that she didn't like her.
Okay, but...
Something must have happened. There's got to be a side to the story, right?
I suppose, but Brett and Sean hated each other, and neither one of them made the locker room, made them apologize to the locker room. Nobody went to the Undertaker, the sheriff of the locker room, and said, you need to handle this. Nobody went on national television on a reality show and berated the other person and said, this is what they're doing to the business.
No, they did it on live TV every week on Monday Night Raw. Okay,
well, that's a work. That's completely different.
It was not a work. They hated each other.
Okay, but you don't know what was a work and what wasn't. What we do know is that Britt Baker actually defended her stance against Thunder Rosa against Twitter trolls, and she did it on that All Access show.
Yeah, so she hates her, so that's fine. You don't have to like everyone.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy that the pretty white lady hates the Mexican lady. I'm so happy.
Why? Okay, we just talked about Bianca, so why does it have to be that way?
Because I think it's really interesting that without that hard-working lady that made her look like $1,000, made her look like $1 million in the ring, and no one's been able to even touch that. How can you not have any respect for someone like that? She hasn't had a single good match since that Thunder Rosa match. No one has talked about her at all. People have talked about Jamie Hayter. They've talked about Anna Jay. They've talked about Sky Blue. They've talked about Willow Nightingale, Mercedes Moné. We're talking about, on the other side, we're talking about the Charlotte, Bianca, Asuka, all these women in professional wrestling today. There are tons of stars. The last time anybody talked about Britt Baker having a good match was Thunder Rosa. How many years ago was that? The first year of AEW?
No, it wasn't. Certainly wasn't the first year. I think it might be 2021. I believe it's 2021. I don't know that she wrestled that much since then, though. Really?
No, I don't think she can. I think she's just realized she's not good at it, and she needs to do matches at a time against her friends. She's not even wrestling people that she's not wrestling anybody new. She's wrestling the same people. I don't understand. I don't understand. The point is, if AEW fans would have Chelsea right now, Chelsea, Tony, Ruby, Willow, Saraya, they'd all be having these phenomenal matches and they'd be killing it. But they have Britt, and she's fine. I mean,
the other one,
it makes you feel better. I think Liv Morgan laps her at literally everything. Okay. I think Liv Morgan, that she's better at walking to the ring than Britt Baker is doing any wrestling move we've ever seen.
Yes.
You don't think
I can't argue because the only memorable match I can think of is with Thunder Rosa. So
that's my point. We've had in the past 2 years. You're saying 2021. So in the past 2 years, we've had. I didn't even mention Ember Moon. My God, I'm sorry. I didn't even mention Ember. Like these women that have just killed it. Matter of fact, there's a woman on the indie circuit right now that had she not said some racist shit, would be the top star in the world. But because she is a bigot, she's stuck doing indie shows for 20 people.
Yeah, well, you can't go at Britt and say what you said and then praise her.
I'm not going to. I'm just saying that that's where we are. And
it's a shame.
It's a shame that person's such an asshole. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I really wish that she wasn't that type of human, because before I found out any of that stuff, I was honestly starting to think that she's the closest. Like, I was looking forward to seeing her and Charlotte one day in the future, and now I know that's literally never going to happen.
Well, she was Impact World Champion, was she not? Like men's World Champion. Yeah.
Yeah, she beat one of John Moxley's old buddies. Forgot his name.
Sami Callihan.
Yeah. Yeah, she beat him. She wrestled Moose. I mean, she had some stellar matches with people. Her matches with Mickie James are legendary. Her matches with Gil Kim, it's unfortunate. Oh, I just named 2 more women that are tops. Man, I wish Gil Kim came back to WWE. I'd like to see her have a proper finished up run. She's so good. She'll never come back. She hates WWE, though. She's made that very clear. Yeah.
So you did want to discuss the If You Ran Wrestling.
Oh, yeah. So I saw this tweet earlier this week, guys, and I saved the photo, but I don't know how to put the photo on here yet. I'm still learning. Me and Tyler are still learning. And it says, Triple H lets you run creative for a day. What's the first thing you're doing? So did you come up with some stuff?
I sure did. First thing was, anyone who mentions how many days someone's been champion is fired.
Oh, so you don't like the record keeping?
I don't like it's been 229 days. Can you not just say, like, yeah, he's been champion for 6 months? Or whatever. I guess that'd be more than 6 months, 7 months, whatever. But, like, it just sounds stupid. And I also don't particularly like this. We're all trying to beat the longest streak now.
Yeah. It really feels like Triple H is trying to erase Vince McMahon's records that it took him like years to set. It's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, that could be. You know what's funny is I think like Vince could be dead and people would still be like, oh, Vince is booking this show. And believe it, they're that paranoid. They're that paranoid.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I did have a couple more things.
Yeah, go ahead. You say yours, and then I'll say mine.
Sure, because the one thing that drives me insane is when these companies chase this little shred of mainstream publicity. Like, they might mention us on SportsCenter. So, with the exception of WrestleMania, which has always had celebrities in it.
Yes.
If you're not a contracted WWE talent, i.e. Logan Paul, Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's under contract, is he not?
I don't know. I think he might just sign like one story contracts at a time. He's too big a star.
He can stay.
I don't think he's going to come back for a while. I think he's going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show. So that's going to take up a lot of the time.
Yeah. People who have, successfully been trained as wrestlers.
Who take it seriously, like Logan and Bunny do. Yeah, okay.
Logan, Bunny, and Stephen Amell, they can come by anytime they want. But other than that, no celebrities. I don't want to see Drew Carey or that's a bad example because he's obviously Drew Carey's not. But you know what I mean.
Yes, I understand.
I don't want to see B-list, C-list celebrity X.
You don't want to see
here,
Snooki in a
'cause-
match at WrestleMania.
Right. Well, Mania, like I said, Mania is different to an extent, but I still don't really want to see them in matches unless it's one of those three. But I just don't want to see like I hate that they're chasing like, oh my god, they might mention us in Us Weekly or Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
Like I get.
So you weren't a fan of Lawrence Taylor, Dennis Rodman, or Karl Malone? You didn't like none of that?
I think Lawrence Taylor did better than he had any right to, but no, wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest. I like that it got Bam Bam a WrestleMania main event.
Yeah. Bam, bam. I love it. WrestleFest. Let's go. Anyway.
Friggin' Rodman for just the visual in the ring, but I don't really want to see him wrestle.
I mean, Eric's right. He's NWO before NWO was NWO, so.
Right. And Karl Malone, fuck that guy.
Yeah, that's what a freak. Anyway, yeah, look that shit up yourselves. We're not talking about that type of stuff on our podcast.
Wander Franco before Wander Franco existed.
Yeah. Okay, so what else you got?
That was kind of it, really. The rest of it, I think things are going pretty well. I mean, obviously, there's things creatively I would do, stories I'd book and stuff. But as far as changing the business, those are two of my major pet peeves. So,
I got to say thank you so much for turning me on to that 83 Weeks podcast because I forgot how much I love WCW. Like, loved WCW. And I'm talking like pre-Vince Russo. The moment Russo got there, I think I watched more WWF. All right. Some of the things that Eric has said on his podcast that he's told us was the way he ran cruiserweights. I would love for them to run women like that. Like the first hour, give us the Codys, the Judgment Day, the Kevin and Sammy. Give us, those big time stories for the rest of the show. And then for the second hour, give us women's wrestling. Like, let us see that. Let us see the women's wrestling. Like, that'd be great. And
I love it.
And then the third hour, give us the matches for those stories you built in the first hour.
Pay off the stories, yeah.
Yes, yeah. That I love. I don't know why nobody does that. I don't get it. If there was veto power and they didn't like that, another thing I would like to do is I would really like there to be a junior heavyweight division. I don't understand what is so bad with having a light heavyweight champion or a junior heavyweight champion. I don't get it. It doesn't need to be the cruiserweight title. We can cut it off somewhere. Like, JD McDonough doesn't look so big. So let's say someone his size never wrestles like Seth Rollins for the world title. Like we'll get those matches. Of course, we got Rey Mysterio versus Kevin Nash. We're going to get matches where, David versus Goliath, but like, I feel like that title is kind of like it's a necessity. Like not everyone is like that. Like looks at the cruiserweight division the way Chris Jericho did. Like it needs to be, we really need it back, and don't ever ruin it again by bringing in a guy like Enzo to just say everything you wanted to say to these little guys. I see things, and I feel like this would be such a great thing for pro wrestling, but maybe I'm crazy.
No, I think that would be good. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jericho's thing was more about how the cruiserweight division was treated by the upper stars, right?
Yeah, but he made some offhanded comments about it. Like he didn't want to be labeled a cruiserweight. He didn't want to be labeled as those guys. He was very happy to win the TV and US title because he was he was pulled away from that.
I get it.
Yeah. Another thing that I can't stop thinking about that Eric said on a recent podcast was differences. Like he said that everything is the same right now. He said when AEW first started, he loved AEW because they were gritty. They were Hammerstein Ballroom ECW without all the hardcore blood and guts. They were just gritty. They were new. They were different. They were a show that, like, ECW was presented as this is a wrestling show, which is what AEW told us we were going to get. And then little by little, they've adapted and added more and more WWE flair to the business. So if AEW wants to change and do their stuff, since we're talking about running creative for WWE, then I would make sure that we had a show, a mainstream show that was a wrestling show for WWE, whether it be NXT or SmackDown or Raw. One of these shows are going to be the wrestling show. We'll get tons of stories and we'll get tons of segments on one or two shows, but that third show is going to be dominated by wrestling. If there's 83 minutes in a 120-minute show after commercials, then I want wrestling for at least 65 minutes of those 83 minutes. Like I listening to Kurt Angle talk about the SmackDown 6, if you go back and you watch, like, those SmackDowns were dominated by in-ring performances. And I wish we had that today because it would be different. It would be something completely different.
Yeah, I agree with that. Somebody, who was it? Somebody referenced the SmackDown 6 on a WWE program recently, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah. You know what I meant to ask? So let's go through the SmackDown 6 real quick. So it's Benoit, Edge, Eddie, Angle.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the other two? Because Jericho was on Raw, because I know he talks about it
Ray
in his
and
book.
Chavo.
Ray Chavo?
Yeah, because he was teaming with Eddie.
Okay, well, the reason that I wanted to talk about the SmackDown 6 is because I completely forgot that during this era, Brock Lesnar was on SmackDown. So how is he not considered a part of the SmackDown 6?
I don't know, because he wasn't.
But everybody from that era, everybody that talks about that specific version of Brock, talks about how he was a freak. He was one of the best in the ring. He was amazing. All of these wonderful things that they say about him. I've never heard anybody say that about Chavo. We're talking about the same guy that had Pepe, right?
Because he was teaming with Eddie. That's why. It's the only reason.
But, like...
So he was in those matches with those people because Los Guerreros was the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I like Eddie. I love Eddie, but, like, when I think of Eddie and Chavo, I think of Fit Finley and Hornswoggle. Like, I don't even think of, like, I've never thought to myself, oh, Chavo Guerrero's a legend.
Well, he's not. But
no.
In that era, he was, played his role quite well.
He's the Teddy Hart of the Guerrero family. Yeah.
Sure. Without
the drugs. Yeah.
Possible other things that we don't.
Yeah, there's a special on Peacock. Go watch it for yourself.
I know. I don't want to get sued.
No, me neither. Yeah. So I feel like that's what I would do is I would have the women in the middle of the show. I would bring back the cruiserweight or light heavyweight division, and I would make sure that we had one show dominated by pro wrestling, and just allow the other ones to kind of stay the same, do what they're doing. Those would be my three changes.
Would you not argue that that's kind of what we're getting with Collision though right now? There's a lot of wrestling on that show for 2 hours.
Yeah, I love that. I love Collision. I think Collision is my favorite show on television right now because I have craved for years what AEW is giving me. Like,
yeah, it's all been really good. Yeah.
Yeah, like for since 2000 when WCW left, we have had nothing but sports entertainment for almost 20 years. And then Cody and the Young Bucks decided to book a 10,000 seat arena, and it changed professional wrestling. And we have gotten wrestling. Like, we've been able, like, without that one show, we don't know who Orange Cassidy is. He's not on mainstream television. We don't get to see, Pac in the United States again. We don't get to see Kenny unless it's on YouTube. Like, I don't think Kenny comes to the States. I think he's still in Japan right now if AEW doesn't happen.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I think he was tired of being gone all the time.
Tired of being the guy, the most famous guy in a country where you're not even the same as everybody else. That's craziness. He was that's nuts. The guy is an American who speaks fluent Japanese.
I'm sorry, he's a what?
He's an American.
He's not an American.
What is he?
He's Canadian. He's from Winnipeg.
Kenny's from Canada?
Yeah, he's from Winnipeg. Same as Jericho. Same as Don Callis.
Oh, wow.
That whole thing that they were doing with him and Callis, that's legit.
No, I knew he was
They're
friends with them, but I didn't
family.
know it was because I knew Callis was Canadian. Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, so Kenny Omega, yeah, he's from Canada, and he goes to Japan and becomes the biggest star in the company. So big that they let him beat their Hulk Hogan, their John Cena. I mean,
He's
I think
such a big star that TSN, which is Canada's version of ESPN, actually produced a special about him right about the time that yeah, okay, you got me saying it now. AEW was starting, and they haven't done that since Bret Hart. Like,
wow, that's cool. That's cool to know. Good for Kenny. Yeah.
it's really interesting. It was on YouTube. It's called Omega Man.
Ooh.
A wrestling love story, maybe.
Yeah. I really liked Kenny. I liked watching his matches with like Ibushi, and I liked watching his matches with Okada. And I loved there's this triple threat match with Seth, Kenny, and Brian. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's on YouTube.
No, I have not seen it.
Yeah, there's another match where it's Kenny versus Brian, and they do like half comedy, half wrestling, where they actually like stop in the middle of the match to have a thumb wrestling too. But yeah, so I've been a fan of Kenny's for a little bit, but I gotta tell you, in the most like childish way possible, him and the Young Bucks came out dressed up as Street Fighter characters once. And I was like, that was my favorite video game growing up, like Marvel versus Capcom. And I loved playing with Akuma. That was like the souped up version of Ken and Ryu. And that's what Kenny came dressed up. And when I saw that, I was like, I'm a Kenny fan forever. Like, forever.
He especially is a gamer. I don't know. I think the Bucks are too, but he is hardcore.
I'm not a gamer. I remember like my dad would kick me out of the house. He's like, Louie, get the fuck out of here. And then he would give me like a roll of quarters and I'd go to the arcade and I would play. And it was the one game I was good at. Like we had, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. Yeah. We had games like that, Pong. And I played that one game and I would put a quarter in. And then I'd have $9.75 still in my pocket. And then all of a sudden it'd be 3 hours later and I'm still on that quarter just ripping through people. And then I would get a beeper because my dad bought me a beeper. And it would be 911 and I'd go call and be like, the fuck are you? And I'd be like, I'm at the arcade. He's like, you better get home in 10 minutes or you're punished for 2 weeks. Like, I'd have to rush home and he'd be like, how much money you got left? And I would count it out and I'd be like, oh my God, I beat all those people with one quarter. And he's like, you're full of shit. Eat some dinner. Like, it's just how he was. Anyway.
I'm so sad I never met your dad.
Yeah.
He seems like a character.
It was funny. He made fun of Patrick once. He said to Patrick, he's like, why you got your fucking hair dyed pink? What's wrong with you? And he goes, why does your hair make you look like an old ass Scott Hall? Like the way they just, yeah, it was. They were great. They were real good with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and back to Kenny.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I'm hesitant to say this.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't represent a very underserved community in the business, he is certainly an icon for them.
Okay.
And I don't know, and they don't care.
Really?
You didn't know that?
No.
No. It's never been confirmed, but he is very popular amongst that community.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and
awesome. That's awesome because everyone deserves representation.
Absolutely. Well, that's interesting.
Especially if it's one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah, that's interesting because that kind of baffles me how him and Punk aren't more better friends.
Right? They're the same dude, except Kenny's way less surly.
And way better at everything but the microphone, right?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. All right. I was just thinking.
Phil's getting up there,
Yeah, I suppose. I just feel like Kenny was at one point. It was the one guy. What?
Sorry. People are pissing themselves over the GTS botch the other night.
It was a botch?
Yeah, it wasn't great. Oh.
Well, he picked up a 300-pound dude.
And he also had a mask on. And
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, shut up.
Yeah, whatever. But on a lighter note, I saw this thing on Twitter. Let's end it here with this because we're about to hit 2 hours and stuff. Let's end it here. So we're going back to the 90s. 4 WWE champions. 1 has to go.
All right.
Shawn.
Okay.
Rock. Austin. Taker. 1 has to go.
Oh, it was easy. So you said the last name. It was easy.
Okay. Who is it?
I'm torn now.
So, can I tell you my answer and why I came to my answers? Because it's not my answer is who you think I'm going to say, but I want to give you why that's my answer, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right. So my answer is Undertaker. And the reason that I came up with that isn't because I don't like Undertaker. It's because I tried to look at who they lost to and who they made. And if you look at Shawn, we needed WrestleMania 14 to help for Austin. We needed the DX to get Austin to where he was. For Rocky, we needed those 3 or those 2 specific WrestleMania matches. Like, they helped get Rock to the next level. Like, Austin turning on him at 17 made Rocky the biggest star in the company, in the world. And I mean, Shawn is Shawn. Anybody who picks Shawn Michaels does not like professional wrestling. Like, I can't. He's the best to ever dip a toe in this business. Like, the more and more you watch of him, the more and more you realize he can wrestle guys like Kenny Omega, right? Like, he could wrestle Kenny, Bryan, Punk, Seth Rollins. He could wrestle any of these guys and have 5-star matches. Like, how do you argue that?
I would love to lock your podcast self and your TikTok self in a room with each other and just see who comes out the winner.
Why?
Because you were just angrily saying, "I don't understand why Shawn's considered the GOAT."
No, that was a year ago thing. That was one of those, like, on this day, because nobody ever talks about Brett. Like, they just don't talk about him. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like the Benoit thing. Like I told you, like, people will. Okay, I'm not gonna say people because I feel like everybody gets angry when I say that. Kurt Angle just said he differentiates when he looks at Benoit and he looks at wrestling for Chris Benoit. That's what he looks at, and he ignores everything outside of professional wrestling. So we're talking about in the ring, bell to bell. When he looks at Benoit, he thinks of him as the greatest to ever do it. He even said this recently. He said it on one of his podcasts where he says he's the best in-ring performer he's ever seen or been in the ring with, right?
And that's why I say that about Brett, because I try to differentiate between the guy who I really don't like and the performer who I think was untouchable.
Yeah, but you're one person out of what 7.5 billion people, and most of those people, I would say that 0.5 billion people agree with you, but then the 7 billion people are like, nah, he's an asshole. Brett screwed Brett. And it's like, why can't you just look at his wrestling? Why can't you turn on YouTube and just type in Brett versus Hakushi? Watch that match and be like, damn, Brett was amazing. Brett versus Isaac Yankem and be like, damn, that was amazing. Brett versus Bam Bam at King of the Ring. Brett versus Owen. Brett versus Austin. Why can't you just be like, wow, this guy bell to bell is just as good as Sean? And then when you have guys like Sean telling us, I'm the best sports entertainer ever, he's the greatest wrestler ever, it's like, why don't we listen to these guys when they talk?
Yeah, sure, but so which is it? Like which matters more? I don't know.
I mean, personally, to me, it's always going to be like they go together. You can't if you're doing it like Sean, then yeah, I agree with exactly how Sean put it. But you know,
would you say Sean is a more complete package?
I feel like Sean could do everything Brett could do in the ring,
but also talk a little better.
Mm-hmm.
They both have a look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, I feel like.
Although I still say nobody's a better talker than Bret Hart was in the first, from April to November of '97.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why he couldn't capture that any other time in his career, but for those few months, he was untouchable.
I don't know, man. It happens. Why we couldn't get the last version of Ronda Rousey on the mic that we got. Why we had to get the microphone incoherent verbiage that she said to us for years. Or that they tried to like, hey, Ronda Rousey's really smart, so let's have her use really big words in these promos. But then I wind up feeling like Inigo Montoya in The Princess Bride, where it's like, you keep using that word. I don't think you know what it means. You know, like... Just like, I get it. I know she's really fucking smart, but like, so is CM Punk. Like, and he doesn't use these. So is Kenny Omega. They don't use these words for no reason in this, you know, just weird. But yeah, yeah, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we're very excited. One of our next episodes will be a wrestler spotlight on Mr. Adam Copeland. You might know him. May or may not be a Hall of Famer. He goes by the name Edge. Maybe if you don't know Edge, you know Sexton Hardcastle. Maybe. Big Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Married to another WWE Hall of Famer, Beth Phoenix. Possibly the greatest intro ever by Tony Schimmel. We're looking forward to doing that spotlight. And then me and Tyler had a wrestler in mind to do our first female spotlight on, but Tyler brought up a really good point that if a specific match goes a certain way at Wembley, we will alter our plans and we will talk about a different, but it's definitely down to two guys, and we're waiting to see what happens at Wembley before we make that final decision. So,
and we'll do both of them within the next few months. So
yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely do both of them, because if we're talking about both of them like this, we definitely have to give them both credit, because, you know, they're both phenomenal talents. And I definitely want to catch up with something as much as Tyler before we talk about one specific person, because I want to be able to talk about their entire career, not just what they did in pro wrestling. So
you want to be able to talk about El Dorado as well?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Okay. Yes, because I have some of her comics and I've watched Glow and I've watched and I've read some of the Glow comics that
Glow's
she's written
fantastic.
too. Yes, but she's one of the
Yeah.
writers for the show. And then
Yeah,
she
yeah.
also has written comics and things like that. So I want to be able to completely touch on that. And I want to look up more because one of the forensic person from Lucifer, they actually have a production company together, the two of them.
It's so funny because I always think they're the same person.
Yeah, well, a lot of people think that. They're best friends. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into our Raw episode. We finished right at about an hour, and then we just went on a little bit of a wrestle talk. So if you want to watch me and Tyler yell about Britt Baker or watch me poke the grizzly bear over here with Finn Balor, then, watch the show.
Or have a really awkward conversation about Kenny Omega.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Kenny Omega's great. If you don't like him, kiss my ass. So anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. And we're out.
Out.
Ooh.
So you didn't know